Last week, I popped into my local theater, which has the best popcorn in town, and watched the newest Dungeons & Dragons movie. I came there with the sole purpose of finding out if this movie told a good story, and just as importantly, if it was a good adaptation of the game Dungeons & Dragons. And to my very pleasant surprise, it delivered on both counts! Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And I have been fascinated with the fact that creators are breaking decades of conventional wisdom that state that you should not adapt your tabletop games into mainstream stories. In my last video on the 2000s Dungeons & Dragons movie, I looked at how it ultimately failed to be a good story and a decent adaptation of the game. This 2023 take on Dungeons & Dragons, however, largely succeeds. First of all, it tells a good story. The film largely focuses on Edgin the Bard and his best friend Holga, a barbarian, who are trying to escape the authorities and save Edgin's daughter from their former teammates. Edgin, who was a harper, a soldier for justice, who served for the payment of feeling good while doing good, who had to turn into a thief in order to take care of and protect his family. Well, Edgin's whole life goes downhill, however, when his wife is killed by red wizards who are using a devastating blade. To resurrect her, Edgin teams up with other thieves to steal a tablet of awakening from the harpers, but they were all betrayed. Holga, she is a barbarian, like I said, who left her tribe to get married to a halfling. And I actually really liked that whole part of the movie. It was funny and oddly heartwarming. However, she found her transition to this other life to be difficult, and this led to her husband divorcing her while she's in prison and getting together with another barbarian. The bastard. Holga wants to help Edgin save his daughter Kira, who she treats as her own kid, and then stick it to her tribe and her ex-husband at the same time. Now, for Edgin and Holga to save Kira, who has been brainwashed by fellow thief Forge Fitzwilliam, Edgin and Holga must team up with anxious and chaotic wizard Simon and the freedom fighter, mistrustful tiefling druid Doric. They try to rob Forge and discover that he is working with the red wizards. The only way to beat them will be to swipe a magical helmet of dispelling. This takes them on a quest that includes grave robbing and talking to the dead, finding an ancient paladin, invading the Underdark, battling an overweight dragon along with undead assassins for the helmet, and then infiltrating Forge's castle and surviving crazy gladiator games. This story is chock full of references to original D&D campaign modules, along with talk of Deep Walk and Baldur's Gate and the Underdark and so forth. The spells and the items and the world building jump right out of the player manuals and are heavily inspired by them if they happen to be OG material. There's just a lot for D&D fans to recognize and to love, but more importantly, the movie has a lot of the at-table fun that tabletop gamers know and love. You have the dysfunctional group that has good reasons to work together, unlike with the 2000s movie. Characters' personal histories are used to help advance the plot and provide fun twists throughout the movie. The characters come up with ingenious ideas that make great use of what the DM, aka the writers in the movie plot, have given them. Keep an eye out for the hither-thither stick. Michelle Rodriguez absolutely kills it by embodying a proper barbarian who is full of heart, maybe not the smartest one in the group, but has great quips and lines and is an absolute tank in battle. Chris Pine brings a great side to a bard. Rather than flirting with everything and with everyone to get what he wants, he uses his charm to bamboozle the enemy and to inspire the team. Doric is the butt-kicking heroine every druid dreams of being until they realize that they have to be level 10 in order to do any of the cool stuff that they see on screen. And Simon is the perfect glass cannon. And really everyone in the movie, including the villains, have their own moments to shine and strut their stuff. That is such an important aspect of any good D&D campaign, that every player and character gets a moment to be in the spotlight. And just overall, this movie is chock full of laughs, great action, fun twists that don't break your brain to process them, and it's just great fun to have mustache-twirling villains there to pummel at the very end. I definitely give this movie my full recommendation. It is a great story, and it is a great D&D adaptation. That being said, though, there are some real problems with a few aspects of the movie, and they are sadly aspects of playing D&D that are so bad, they are memes unto themselves. First off, as much as I enjoyed Zank as a character, he was clearly a DM's personal NPC to move the plot along and do stuff that the other characters never could because the difficulty level was too high. He was so pure, so perfect, and was somehow involved in everything, and was a pro at everything. Seriously, no paladin is this OP unless they're at level 20 or something like that, because everyone in the party was clearly at a lower level. And then the info dumping. Oh my gosh, the info dumping. Yes, dungeon masters do share a lot of information sometimes, but not even Matt Mercer drops the entire plot in one sitting. The info dumping in this movie was something else. And the plot also forgets how the big bad evil spell works in order to accommodate the character's fun final plan. And you'll see what I mean in the movie. The final heist is actually a ton of fun, with excitement and characters delivering a lot of laughs and ingenious moves in order to get things done. It's chock full of action and a couple of great twists in order to make everything work. But even then, given what the info dumps told us earlier, there is no way that the plot that they come up with in order to defeat the big bad evil spell would even work because of what we actually see the big bad evil spell do. So we have a really bad contradiction. It does help the main characters win, but at the cost of a certain sense of believability within this fantasy world, and that's really not good. And finally, while I applaud the writers' attempt to sidestep the typical meeting in a tavern to get the party together, we do spend too much time to gather the group piecemeal, which means that we get less time with Simon and significantly less time with Doric, which makes her feel by comparison far less fleshed out than all the other characters. Furthermore, this acquiring of party members in steps throughout the runtime of the movie makes Zank's appearance stick out even more, like a DM's personal character swinging in like Tarzan to save the day, rather than acting as a critical member of the crew. Now, are any of these problems deal breakers for the movie? Absolutely not. In fact, I have confirmed with people who don't play D&D that these details didn't even occur to them while they were watching the movie. And there's even a possibility that some of these choices were purposefully made just to annoy D&D players because they know that these are no-nos when it comes to running a good campaign. In any case, again, this movie does have my hearty recommendation, and this is actually the kind of game adaptation that we need more of from Hollywood. And for all my fellow novice authors and D&D players, I feel like there's a lot for you to sink your teeth into when you go and see this movie. There's a whole lot that you can learn and see and appreciate from how the movie runs, both as a story and as a D&D adaptation. But if you're looking for more solid writing advice, then please check out our other videos here or head on over to our podcast, Camille's Harem. And if you want a story full of dragons, then please check out my newest book, Tumble Teller, a story about a dragon bard on our first big adventure and performance, which has its own great twist. If you'd like to support us, then please check out that book, or you can like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And I'll be looking at more D&D adaptations soon, so make sure you click the bell icon to be notified for when those videos pop up. Lastly, thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.